All right. Welcome, everyone. We are excited to be here this evening. I am Terry Brooks Allen, the training manager at Indianapolis Neighborhood Resource Center, and we are very happy to have you join us this evening in our conversation with Citizens Energy Group tonight. So representing Citizens, we have Alex Haberfield, and Alex is the coordinator of public outreach for Citizens Energy Group, where he communicates daily with neighborhoods throughout central Indiana about citizens, current and upcoming projects and initiatives. He's devoted to improving life in the Indianapolis community and is a recent resident of Community Heights neighborhood, where he lives with his two cats, and they like to make appearances in virtual meetings. So we look forward to seeing them. Also representing Citizens is Kenya McMillan, and Kenya is the Community and Stakeholder Engagement Manager. She's responsible for corporate complaint resolutions and the development, coordination, and execution of Citizens Community Relations activities. She oversees Citizens Stakeholder Alliance, the Neighborhood Ambassador Program, and the investment collaboration of neighborhoods. So Kenya sounds like she's got a lot on her plate. So tonight, they will speak with us about the lead service line replacement program, their community resource day that's coming up on Saturday, and the energy assistance, the Icon loans, and then Dig Indiana. Before we get started, I would like to ask if you would please send your questions to the chat box, or just hold your questions for the end of the presentation. And then we would like to ask you if you would please mute yourself so that we could cut down on some of the residual noise. And with no further ado, I will turn it over to Alex and Kenya.
Awesome. Do you want me to go first, Kenya, or do you want to go first?
Yes, you can go first, Alex.
Okay. Let me share my screen here. All right, you guys should be seeing my blue screen right now.
Yes.
And let me put up the presentation. All right, so do you see this first slide?
Yes.
DigIndy, awesome. So I'm going to update you guys today on our DigIndy project, as well as our lead service line replacement program. So we'll go ahead and get started with DigIndy, since that's the kind of the bigger and the longer legacy project that we've had going on. So just a little bit of background. Whoops. 1 second. All right. So combined sewer overflow abatement stems from the Clean Water Act, which was passed in 1972. That was kind of like the first major legislation which started to regulate pollutants from getting into waterways. The terms of the act require that CSO communities enter into some form of legally binding settlement with the Department of Justice and the US EPA to ensure that they are not polluting the area waterways. And usually the terms of these agreements come in the form of what's called a consent decree. So here's a little bit of the history here. Basically, a consent decree is a settlement which binds a CSO, which is a combined sewer overflow community, to comply with that 1972 Act, particularly with their CSO control policy. And the long-term control plan, there is a document which is called the long-term control plan, which needs to be developed, and it's kind of lays out how communities will get rid of their CSOs, and that's what our DigIndy project is. So just a little more on the background here. So In 2006, the city of Indianapolis, who owned the sewer system at the time, entered into the consent decree with the EPA, which is what basically is requiring the city to implement that long-term control plan that they had to develop. And the consent decree outlined that that needed to be in place by 2025. And then in 2011, Citizens Energy Group purchased the water and wastewater systems from the city of Indianapolis. And as part of the purchase, we, Citizens Energy Group, were kind of put in the middle of this consent decree triangle between the EPA, the city of Indianapolis, and now Citizens. So we're a party to the agreement, and we need to help make sure that this project gets complete by 2025. So you've heard me say CSO a couple times, and what you're looking at now, this is a combined sewer overflow. So this is what it's all about. We're trying to eliminate these. So you can see, let's see here. Can you see my mouse? You can see the big pipe here, and then there's these grates, and there's a bunch of trash and stuff in these grates. So the easiest way to think about this is anything that you could flush down the toilet or that could get swept into a street drain during times of high rain end up here at these CSOs. And basically, a long time ago, when cities were first developed, they had this new technology, which was called sewers at the time, and then streets. And when it would rain, they thought it would be a good idea that we're just going to put all our rainwater into this existing sewer. Well, since that time, we've grown a lot as a city, and we capture a lot more rain than what we used to. So this here next image is a picture of our CSO sewer catchment area. And what happens is when we get a lot of rain, there's actually so much rain that the sewer will completely fill up, and then it discharges into the area waterways. So what you're looking at on this map, each of the little black dots, there's over 130 of them. These are all CSO locations. So this would be a location where if the sewer filled up, it would back up and then go into these streams. What you're looking at with these colors indicates the areas that are draining to a certain creek. So this, for example, is Fall Creek. You can see all the little dots along Fall Creek. And any rain that lands within this tan colored area would end up draining into this creek in the event of a large rain. So what exactly is a large rain here? You can see frequency on average. Obviously different years we get different amount of rain, but it's somewhere around 60 times a year. And in total, that would be somewhere between 5 and 6 billion gallons of sewage that would have been historically discharged into these streams. So what the solution is, what the DigIndy project is all about, is getting rid of those overflows and preventing them from entering area waterways. And the solution is this big tunnel, which you can basically think of as like a big underground storage tank. Instead of overflowing in those black dots into the streams, the water is going to overflow into this large tunnel. And then gravity is going to help us bring it all the way down here to the Southport Water Treatment Plant, which is just barely in the corner. And then we'll be able to pump out the sewage and treat it as if it were normal sewage, and thus eliminate all that somewhere between 95 and 99% of that 5 to 6 billion gallons of sewage. So it's comprised of 6 different tunnels here. They have different colors. You can see tan, various blues, yellow, green, red. In total, it's over 28 miles of tunnel, and this tunnel is located 250 feet below ground, which is about the height of the Soldiers and Sailors Monument downtown. And it's taken 14 years of work to get to, but we are required by the consent decree that I discussed to have it complete by the end of 2025. And we are on schedule. So this map here that you're looking at, this represents, each of these circled areas represents a project area, whether that be a surface structure that we need, or a drop shaft, or anything like that. So you can see there's quite a few on here, and all the areas that are circled in red have been completed, and all the areas that are circled in yellow we're still working on. So you can see here that we have 4 of the 6 tunnels are actually complete, and I'll show you that on the next slide. But we're really focusing in on the final 2 that we have to get done, which is the Fall Creek Tunnel up here in the north, the green one, and the Pleasant Run Tunnel, which is this blue one. As part of that consent decree, we have a schedule that we had to hit, and so far we've hit all of our goals with the final 2. That Fall Creek and Pleasant Run is the last 2 to get complete. Those 4 tunnels that are already open have already captured over 5 billion gallons of water that would have gone to our area waterways, but instead went into the partially complete tunnels. So that's exciting. You got to put in here a picture of the tunnel boring machine, because everybody likes to see it. So just a couple quick things about this, kind of how this works. You can imagine this 250 feet below ground. It's on a railroad track. And these little ribs here on the side, they will expand out to hold the machine in place. And then this front will begin to rotate, and then pistons will push it into the rock with a ton of force. And eventually that's how that's how this machine cuts through the rock. About every foot that we go is 1 dump truck's worth of gravel that is generated. So you can imagine 28 miles and do some calculations, and we've had quite a few dump trucks of gravel generated as part of this project. This cutting head is 20 feet in diameter, and then we put a 12-inch thick layer of concrete on the outside to protect basically to make sure that the sewage doesn't come into contact with the rock. So that's how we end up with our 18 feet diameter. And we've been working on this project since 2012. The most recent major milestone was last year when we announced that the White River and the Lower Pogues Run tunnels were completed and that they went into operation. So since last year, these have been up and running and collecting stormwater. One of the 2 tunnels that we still have yet to complete is the Fall Creek Tunnel, which is the 5th leg of the project, about 3.8 miles. And it goes up, this is the fairground here. So it basically goes from a little north of the fairground down to our Lanesdale facility, which this is the back of the Lanesdale facility here, the near northwest neighborhood, kind of in this area. We are complete with the mining for this project, this particular tunnel, and actually the whole project. And the lining is complete here, but the final step that we have to do is we have to connect our surface level infrastructure to the actual tunnel itself. So that's kind of what our teams have been working on here the past year or so. The Pleasant Run Tunnel, this is the other tunnel that we're working on, and this is actually the 6th leg and the longest leg of any of the 6 components that make up the larger project. 7.9 miles, and mining was complete on this one last year as well, so 2022. We were excited last year because this represented the very last bit of mining that we had to do. So the tunnel boring machine is now out of the ground. It's been pulled up, it's been refurbished and sent off to its next project area. For this tunnel, we're still working on lining it with that 1 foot thick concrete. And then we also are going to have to work on all those same surface level infrastructure points. So once again, we're on schedule to have this complete by the end of 2025 on the Fall Creek Tunnel. So I'll go ahead and transition. I know we're gonna maybe hold questions to the end, so I'll kind of push through this and move on to our next major project that Citizens has undertaken recently, which is our lead service line replacement program. So my goal today is to answer these three main questions for you, and those are: what is the lead service line replacement program? Why is it important? And how is Citizens replacing service lines? So one thing you probably have noticed that I like photos. So here's a picture of three different service line types. This is galvanized iron here, copper, and then this is a lead service line. You can tell because it's a little darker in color, and then it's also thicker in diameter there. So the first question a lot of people ask is, what is a service line? And simply, the service line is the portion of water line that goes from the main to your home. So your home has this internal plumbing or business, and the service line is basically what brings the water to your property. And for structures that were completed or connected to our system prior to 1950, some of these service lines are made out of lead, because before 1950, that was kind of the common material to use for this sort of thing. It is important to note that the water that that leaves Citizens treatment plants does not contain lead. Elevated lead levels have not been found in our system. We're required by the EPA to check that, not just during our treatment process, but within the reservoirs, within our plants, and within our distribution system. So we also don't have any lead water mains. So this really sets us apart from some other water companies. So we know that the water that's arriving to our customers in this main is lead free. But the next biggest step where lead could potentially be introduced is this service line. And the service line is owned by the property owner. So it was, this line would be installed by your developer, or if your home was older than the water main, then the owner of the house would have had this installed. So the whole service line is owned by the property owner, and historically, Citizens sort of maintains this portion that's in the right of way. So you can see the property boundary here. Citizens would maintain this portion if there were a leak or something because of our main being in the area, but this is actually the customer's property. And you can kind of see there's a curb stop here and the gooseneck. So this is just kind of a cool depiction of what it looks like. So the best way for Citizens to protect our customers from lead is to help them to remove their lead service lines. So that's why we put together a proposal to the IURC and some other folks, which was approved in March of last year, which allows us to implement a multi-year program to help customers remove their lead service lines. And we're estimating that this program will allow us to eliminate somewhere between 55,000 and 75,000 customer owned service lines, which, as far as we can tell, is what we believe, that would be our entire system. So there's definitely, you can tell there, 55,000 to 75,000 is a pretty big range. And the reason is we acquired the water company in 2011, and the records on the service line materials were kind of sparse, particularly for these older homes. And that's because they're not owned by the utility. So historically, they never really kept records on what kind of service lines were in place. So part of what we have to do for this program is to identify the areas of the city that have lead service lines, which will then allow us to go in and replace them. So that's a little bit about what the program is and why it's important. So now, how are we actually replacing these service lines? So the program allows us 3 different ways to replace the service lines. And I'll go through each of these individually. But kind of a high level overview is we have capital improvement projects, proactive lead service line replacement areas, and then property owner initiated replacements. I'll go through those in more depth. in the subsequent slides, but just kind of keep that in mind. Those are the three ways we replace them. What you're seeing here is a photo from someone's house. This is kind of a cool photo because it kind of highlights how unique in this particular case. You can see the customer, their home is right next to the main. So they don't have a whole lot of service line here, but you can see this is a lead service line. This is the main, that gooseneck, and then this is the curb stop. So that first method I described, the capital improvement projects and emergency repairs. Basically what this means is, as citizens is going out and maintaining our system like we typically do, historically we've been limited to only doing work within the right of way. So like, let's take an example here. Let's say citizens has to relocate a water line as part of a DPW project in Broad Ripple. Historically, if we have to relocate a water line, then we will just work within the right of way to reconnect the customers. What this program allows us to do is to identify that, oh, maybe some of these customers, they have a lead service line. And so instead of just reconnecting them, we can approach the customer and say, hey, we noticed that you have a lead service line. We're here moving the main, and we would like to replace your service line, take out the lead and put in another material type at no additional cost to you. And that will be done as part of our water main relocation project now. So these are kind of, we can't really plan for these. They just sort of come up as we notice in the field that there are lead service lines that need to be replaced. And then that second component on there you see is the emergency repair replacements. Sorry, keep hitting the scroll button. These emergency repair replacements would be an instance where you have a sudden water pressure drop on a Sunday morning. You call us and we come out and we see that your service line is leaking and it's lead. So instead of just fixing your service line, we'll go ahead and talk with you, and if you're amenable to it, we'll go ahead and replace the whole thing, pull out the lead and put in something new. Once again, we can't really plan for these because they just, we'll get calls about leaks and have to go fix them. The second and the biggest part of this program is what we're calling the proactive lead service line replacements. So this is the primary focus of the program. And what it allows us to do is to actually go into a neighborhood and select an area for the express purpose of replacing service lines. We coordinate with other entities such as DPW when we do this, and so that what we're ideally trying to do is pick areas that we think there's a lot of lead service lines that would be in need of replacement, and if there's other work that is going to tear up the street, then we want to get in and do our replacements before DPW or whatever entity, so that way the neighborhood doesn't have to go through their streets being torn up twice, or maybe their street gets torn up and they get a brand new street, and then a couple of months later we come in and tear it up again. We do not want that. So we're trying to make it as seamless as possible for the neighborhoods. What you see in this photo is how the service lines are installed. I have more pictures later in the presentation, but the high level overview is that we can connect to the lead service line with a new service line with this white piece here. It's kind of like one of those finger traps. If you remember when you were a kid, where like when you pull your fingers apart, it holds on tighter. And when we pull out the lead, then this pulls in the new service line behind it. So ideally, when this method works, we don't even have to tear up a whole bunch of your yard or anything, because we're just basically pulling out the old service line and bringing in the new one. This is an example of one of our first, actually this was our first lead service line replacement program area. This was in the near northwest neighborhood, from Barnes Avenue to Raider Street and West Roach to Udell. So you can see in this particular instance that the project area is outlined in blue. And then based on our records, we anticipated that all of these green properties could potentially have lead. So there's 111 properties that are colored green here. So how do we go about communicating with these customers and having those replacements be done? Really, there's four main steps. The first part is outreach. The second part is potholing, which is how we investigate to see if it is in fact a lead service line. The third portion is actually doing the replacement if necessary. And then the final bit is the post-construction instructions. So after we're done, we have to flush the system and collect samples. So here's some examples of our outreach. All the customers, and for this particular example that had green properties, would have been receiving a cover letter, basically an information packet in the mail. The most important part here is this right of entry agreement. So we're offering this project to customers at no additional cost. However, because that service line is owned by our customers, we do need an access agreement in order to work on their property. And that needs to be from the property owner that we receive that access agreement. So the biggest takeaway from this presentation is if you get something in the mail from citizens, read it. And if it is one of these lead service line packets, then we need this right of entry agreement in order to proceed with the work. You can also see here we have a couple of door hangers. This first one here explains that we're in the neighborhood and we're trying to do a lead service line replacement project. And then this second one here is for after we do the inspection. So in addition to receiving mail packets from us, you will also receive door hangers, text messages, emails. Our contractors are out, boots on the ground, knocking on doors. We'll be making phone calls. So hopefully, we'll be able to get everybody aware of the project and get right of entry agreements from all the property owners. Once we have those access agreements, we can begin by investigating whether or not you have a lead service line. So the first step is called potholing, and that's what you see in this photo. So this here, think about this as like the biggest vacuum cleaner you've ever seen. That's so big that it can actually suck up dirt and dig holes. And the reason they use this is because it's called a soft digging technique. So if they hit your water line with this, it won't break or anything. It's not like an excavator. This is just, gently sucking up the dirt. They'll put in like a little 6-inch diameter hole down to expose your service line, and they'll visually look at it, shine a flashlight on it and say, oh, this is lead or this is not lead. If you don't have a lead service line, then you're good to go. But if you do have a lead service line, then this is where the construction crew will leave you that door hanger and say, hey, we inspected your property. We found that it had lead. And we leave a pitcher filter and a 6-month supply of filters for you to use while between now and when your line gets replaced, which is usually much less than 6 months, usually a couple weeks later. But this is kind of the first step. So once we identify what needs to be replaced, we move into the actual replacements. So our contractor will reach out to each homeowner and coordinate a good time and place to come and do this. This photo, you can see there's a lot going on, but it kind of shows how when you're doing this for every single home on the street, you can see how this could potentially be disruptive for traffic, which is that we have the trench to expose the water line here. That's the first step. The second step is we have to pull out the old service line, which is what this attachment on the excavator is for. The third step is for old homes that have meters in the basement. We're going to relocate them to the property boundary. So that's what these 2 excavations are for. And then the final step is we need to go inside the customer's homes to make that final connection. In total, this takes somewhere between 4 and 8 hours. It just depends. Not all customers will need their entire service line replaced. Sometimes it's just half of the service line. So in those instances, it can be faster. But typically it's somewhere between a 4 and 8 hour water outage while they get this work complete. which once again, they do coordinate with the property owners. I kind of have a step-by-step example here of what it looks like. So the first step is they take this cable and they feed it through the old service line, and then they attach that like finger track like device that I explained to the new service line. So that's what they're doing in both of these photos. This is a good picture of that attachment point, and then this was a partial replacement. You can tell because they're outside, and then this is a full replacement because they're actually in the customer's basement here for this one. The second component, or the third step here, excuse me, is you can see the service line real small here. The cable comes out. They'll put it up into this winch, and then they'll pull out the lead into here, and then the new line will come in. And then the final bit is they make the connections, they turn on the water, and you need to flush your system for around 30 minutes or so to get all the junk out that was kind of kicked up as part of this installation. And then we'll either ask that you collect a sample, or in most cases, we will come back and offer sampling to customers somewhere between 3 and 6 months after the replacements have been completed. So that's the main part. That's the proactive replacements. And then the final way that we replace these is with the property owner initiated lead service lines. So this would be for customers who do not want to wait for their neighborhood to come up in a proactive area. And so they're willing to pay for the portion on their property to be replaced, and then citizens would pay for the portion in the right of way to be replaced. And then that way these customers can basically schedule these replacements on their own schedule, as opposed to waiting for us. But the downside is, of course, that there is a cost to this. So unlike those other two options, which are done at no additional cost to the customers, this would cost the customers. And to apply for this property owner initiated replacement, you have to go to our website. And there's a link on our website. And basically, you have two options. You can either, option one would be to request a quote from our contractor. So if you fill this out, then we'll forward your information along to our contractor. They will contact you with a quote of how much it would cost to do the portion on your property. And then if that's something you want to proceed with, then they'll go ahead and get everything scheduled and whatnot. The second option here would be if you have your own plumber that you know that you like working with, then you can work with your own plumber and let us know when you want to do this replacement, because we'll need to have our crews come out and do the right-of-way portion. So this photo here, you can kind of see, in this instance, if this were a property owner initiated, then this excavation here would be what Citizens does, and then the customer would pay for all the portion on their property up here, which is somewhere, I mean, each home is different, but usually it's somewhere between $4 and $6 grand, just depending on circumstances. But like I said, some of these are a lot more complicated than others, and it really is a site specific kind of replacement. And with that, that's my final slide. One of the biggest takeaways too is to visit our website here, citizensenergygroup.com/LSLRP. I'm actually going to jump out of the presentation and open up the website just so you can see, because this is the best way to follow the program. So you can see we have information on the project. This photo should look familiar. These are our upcoming areas, our in construction areas, and recently completed areas. And then we have some FAQs. Excuse me. And then we have a contact form here. If you have a question, fill out this form and the email will come to me or someone else at Citizens, and we'll get back with you. If you want to do that property owner initiated, the option, then that's what this link takes you to with some information on that. And then we have some other resources here along the side, the system flushing, what to expect, item information on drinking water, and then our lead and copper drinking water page. So with that, that kind of concludes my update on the lead service line and DigIndy projects. I don't know if am I still sharing my screen?
Yeah.
Yep. Here we go. There we go.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not used to using Zoom.
Well, thank you, Alex. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
So as Terry stated, I am Kenny McMillan with Citizens Energy Group. I'm the Community Stakeholder Engagement Manager. And so I have the awesome opportunity to work in the community and do great fun things such as this. But I must say the Community Resource Day event that we're putting on is a group effort, which my colleague Alex is a part of. Our entire corporate affairs department has worked together to put on this event. It's the very first time we put it on. So I hope you all come out and have shared the flyer. And so the basis of this is, which I'll touch on after this, is that as you guys are aware, you know, a lot of the utility companies had a lobby where you could go in and get assistance and pay your bills and all that good stuff. Well, we've moved away from that, and we provide, so we go out into the community and provide information about energy assistance, which I am going to talk to you about. And so we started having discussions like, you know, how do we meet the community where they're at? And so in talking about that and thinking about how we wanted to move forward as a company, then it birthed Community Resource Day. So it went from thoughts of just providing information about our energy assistance and assistance that's federally funded to just assistance in general. Because as we know, in the winter months, holistically prices go up, utilities go up. It is what it is. And so we were thinking, you know, what can we do to help the community? So we came up with Community Resource Day to connect the community with not just resources from citizens and how we can help reduce bills, but also just resources in general that we think that all neighbors could utilize. And so as you see, we have over 20 different resources here and organizations that have been willing to participate. I mean, they are coming at the woodworks. I am so excited because I'm hoping like next year, this is going to be even bigger and better. We have so many people. We actually had to start turning folks away. Everybody's doing a good job at posting this information. So as you see, you know, we have Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Corbin Place. We have a lot of different organizations. Citizens is also going to be recruiting that day for meter readers, for other positions that we have. Our contact center will be there. We'll talk about the different types of assistance that Citizens provides, which is Warm Heart, Warm Home, which I will go into a little later in this presentation. The Bonner Center will be there. So if people have questions about how to sign up for energy assistance, they'll be there. We're going to have free hot dogs and chips, which let me tell you, Alex wanted to be our resident griller. And I think next year you guys will find Alex out there grilling because he was really petitioned for this. But anyhow, we have hot dogs there. There's going to be face painting. Big Car will be there for a painting event for the kids. The Coats Blue and the cheerleaders, the mounted police. So we expect for this to be a good time for everyone. I am really excited. And like I said, we're getting so much feedback about this. The other thing I wanted to share is that Luna, powered by Global Translation Services, will be there. So we will have someone there to help folks if they need translation at the different resource tables. There will be someone there to translate for Spanish, Haitian Creole, Burmese, and Chin. So please spread the word. We'll have the radio stations out there. So we really think it's going to be a great time for everyone. And in this group, if you want to reach out to me and say, hey, Kenya, you really missed a particular segment, because we try looking at different demographics, but I am open to feedback if we just really just missed a particular community that needs to be served. So open to feedback, but hope to see you guys out on Saturday. Is from 9 to 12. And then with that, I want to let me stop sharing this. I want to go into our energy assistance that we have, that we will talk about that day. And hold on just a moment. Let me share. I hope this comes up right. Okay, can we all see the flyer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. So I just want to preface, this is our old flyer, and we're hoping to have it finished and updated by this weekend so we can distribute. And when we distribute this out, we distribute it in Spanish, Haitian, Creole, Chin, and Burmese. So we're trying to hit other populations other than just English. But what this is a collaborative effort. And last year was the very first time we did this with AES. And again, this is our last year flyer, so things need to be updated. But we wanted to create a one-page flyer. I'm gonna go through it section by section, but it's a front and back page flyer. And what we wanted to do is collectively provide all the information for the different types of energy assistance that a customer could apply for utilities. And so as you see here, we have energy for EAP, the Energy Assistance Program. We have the income guidelines here. There's a QR code that takes you to the website and all the qualifications. Please note, though, but I believe for this year, there may not be LIWAP. I think that was just a one-year initiative, so that may not be available. I have to double check. But as you know, energy assistance is not going anywhere. And that's why Bonner will be there this Saturday to talk more about energy assistance. But what I want to share, and I don't know that everybody always knows this, but if you get approved for energy assistance, Citizens has what we call LICAP. It's low income customer assistance program. So if you get approved for energy assistance, then Citizens will automatically approve you for our LICAP, which will lower your water bills from $6 to $15 a month starting in July. And then you will automatically receive 10 to 25% discount on your gas bill until May. And all you have to do is just provide proof that you have received or that you're eligible for energy assistance. And that's for AES as well. And I will say this, my background, I started off at the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. And then in September of last year, I came to Citizens. So I see this type of situation on both ends. But for years when I was at the commission, we could not get customers to sign up for energy assistance. And I know it could be cumbersome, but we're leaving dollars on the table. So I just encourage folks to encourage those who are eligible, because our taxpayer dollars pay for this, so we might as well utilize it. And what we don't want is for the federal government to come back and say, well, you left so many dollars on the table, you don't need it. And so when we're fighting, and actually Citizens actually goes to Washington, D.C. to basically let them know that this funding is needed. And what we don't want is for them to say, or to cut back dollars because they're not being used. So I just encourage folks to encourage your friends and loved ones that can use it to actually apply for energy assistance. The other thing that we have on here is WAF. This is the Winter Assistance Fund by United Way. Again, this needs to be updated. But what this is tells you the household size and the income guidelines. And then again, a QR code that links you to their website. And then next, what we have is what Citizens calls Warm Heart, Warm Home, which we will talk about more on Saturday. That is our own assistance program. So basically what we just ask is, we're not being really intrusive. We just need to know what your last 3 months incomes are, and if it fits this guideline, then we will provide assistance with the utility bills. We also talk to customers about flexible payment arrangement, budget billing, and then the ways to conserve. And as you see here, you could go to the link to find out conservation tips. And again, we have the QR code that links customers to the information. The other thing, like I said, we partner with AES. So AES has what they call Power of Change. It's a third party that actually operates with their assistance fund too. So I know a lot of people may not know that AES also provides grants to help with utility bills. And again, we have their information here and their QR code. So last year or this year, the beginning of this year, what part of my role was to go into the different communities, community centers, food banks, soup kitchens, churches, anywhere where they would have us. And we would provide this information, talk to customers personally about Saturday. If customers just want to talk about just their bill, we will actually have folks on site with laptops that can access their bills. They will, and we're going to have them off in more of a secured location on Saturday. They will actually be in what was called our old lobby. So it's not going to be as congested. The rest of the folks for Community Resource Day are going to be in the large tent, but we're going to have some folks in the lobby. And I think that it's just a little bit easier and folks don't have to worry about others hearing their personal information. But we would like to talk to folks to help them any kind of way we can on Saturday. But again, part of my role was to go into the community, talk about this, but also have folks from our contact center to talk to folks individually about their bills. So we no longer have the lobby where you can go into, but Citizens is being very intentional about bringing resources and taking the things that we have to the public. And so I do ask that, please contact me or get with Sharon. Sharon, I am more, if you guys have programs where you would like for Citizens to come out and talk more about this year to year, we are open and more than happy to come out and talk about this. We also can send out this information once it's updated via email in all the different languages. So just let me know. I'd be more than happy to send that information to you via email as well. So just know we have those resources out there available to you. So now what I will do is I am going to switch to our icon program. So I'll pull that up. Oh, just I can't. Okay. It's doing something weird. Can you guys see okay?
We still see the original flyer that you had,
You do? Okay, let me
the energy
stop
assistance
sharing.
flyer.
Maybe I need to stop sharing and then share again. Okay. Can you guys see now?
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So now what I'm going to transition to is to our Icon loan program, which I'm gonna tell you, if you guys don't know, I am a big Citizens fan. And so this is one of the programs that I am so passionate about, and just honored to be able to be a part of the team to work on this particular program. But our Icon program was established in 1995. It was structured for Indiana nonprofit corporations, and we started the program funds with the sale of citizens farm property. So the things that we do with this program does not come from ratepayer dollars, just so you know. It is definitely funded from proceeds from a sale of property. And the mission is to support the community and redevelopment through public and private partnerships and nonprofit loans. So this is a loan program that we have. Early projects that we had was River's Edge and Fall Creek Place. The objective of the program was to relieve the poor and distress, erection of maintenance of public buildings and monuments and works, promotion of social welfare. What that really says is that the purpose of this program is to provide loans for any type of community project, building space, affordable homes, anything that benefits the community. That was the purpose of this loan program. What we believe, strategic community investing in Marion County is vital for our utility business. As a corporation citizens, we have an obligation to invest in the betterment of our neighborhoods. And the thing is that I don't know if everyone knows, but Citizens is a charitable trust. So what that means is that the community are the beneficiary to our proceeds. So other utilities, won't name them out, but other utility companies, they are investor owned and we're not. So by structure, our profits are supposed to go, our dollars are supposed to go back into the community and be a reinvest to help the community. That's legally how we're structured. And so what we deliver is a short-term loans for housing and commercial revitalization. It's a loan program. Typically, we work with CDCs who are providing or building or renovating affordable homes. But again, this can go to commercial buildings if there's an area that's a food desert and they want to build a grocery store and it benefits the community, we will provide loan funding for that. Right here is some of our past partnerships and locations. As you can see, we have worked with Cafe, the Raleigh area, in Fringe. So we've worked in a lot of different areas and partners. And so here are some of the projects where we've actually provided loans to assist with different various projects here. As you can see, the GC Murphy building, Fall Creek Place. We've worked with a lot of different companies and organizations. And these are just pictures of the different projects that we supported. So this is Martindale Brightwood, and right now, so Martindale Brightwood is probably about 95, almost probably 100% finished with this project. So the way it works is that we provide a 2-year loan. So you do not have to pay anything until that loan has matured. You can pay month to month if you like, but you don't have to. Typically what happens is we give loans, we're considered more like gap funding. So we give 4% simple interest, 2-year loans, typically between $100,000 to $300,000. It just depends on the project. It could be more, it could be less. But typically what happens is, you know, the organizations probably have gotten funding from other resources, and we're probably considered gap funding. But once they sell the property, then they use those proceeds to pay us back. And then all we do is just reinvest it into the community. So I really love this. In this way of giving back. And this is one of my parts of my job that I just really enjoy, working with the CDCs. It's not like a typical loan. You submit the application to me, I walk you through it. My job is to help any way I can, to make sure that you are presenting yourself in the portfolio of the organization the best. How do I want to say it? Want to make sure that you have everything that is needed and required. So my job is to make sure that the board says yes when you submit. And so if there's some holes in the application process, I walk through it with you. We try our best to work with organizations to make sure that they have what they need to be successful for our program. And so Amina, like I said, we gave her a loan for this one, and then we just recently approved another loan. So I'm really excited for Martindale Brightwood. This one here is West Indianapolis. They used to call it the Blue Home because the Colts used to own this house. And it is actually finished now. They actually paid this loan off in August. But I'm gonna tell you, if you see these pictures, you can see where squatters had lived here, and then people came in, they ripped out the pipings in the walls. And so I had the opportunity to actually go through this home when I first started. And this is when, like I said, we gave them a 2-year loan, and they actually paid it off about a month early. And this one really touched my heart because I'm really excited, because Citizens works with people who are so passionate about what they do. Lisa Laughlin is the executive director over this particular CDC. She handpicked every single amenity in that house. It was awesome. But what really touched me is when we don't have organizations like this in INRC that cares about the community, these are the things that happen, and it stays that way. And this impacts the community, those that live in the neighborhood, because you have squatters, that has to do with the security in your neighborhood. So know that we are working with organizations. We're part of an organization that helps prevent these things from happening and make the communities livable. It's just awesome for me. But it hit home to think that this could really be going on in the neighborhood, and what would it look like if this continued, if nobody cared enough and organizations don't come together to help the community. So this was a one that was kind of near to my heart. And this is some of the things after it was renovated. You could see the pictures and everything, and Lisa was just beaming when she took us through. But this was an awesome experience. And then we work with Aspire House. I was actually out there this past weekend, and so Citizens, what we did was provided them funding for the lower level. So this is an old firehouse by Udell Street. And on the lower level, what they're going to have is a commercial kitchen, a space for different types of programming, different things for the community. And they have actually elected they do an automatic payment, and they pay us every month. That's their option. But again, you don't have to pay until after the 2-year maturity date, but they pay us monthly. And they're making great strides here. And although we didn't give them the loan for the upper half, but the 2 levels above is going to be awesome. They're going to be luxury apartments for resident teachers. So this is going to be awesome too. Sharon Clark is doing some great things in the community in this area. Actually, this past weekend, they had I'm not sure what it was called, but they had like chili for everybody, pickleball. The kids were actually doing a mural on the street that's going to be there. It was an awesome time Saturday. And so here is information in how you can submit your loan process. And like I said, you guys can always call me. We can talk through. You know, you may say, hey, I'm not sure if this fits. And one thing that I didn't say is you do have to be a 501c3 in order to submit a loan. But if you're not a 501c3, you can partner with one as long as they're willing to take the risk of the loan. If you partner with a 501c3 and do it in that way, that's perfectly fine with us as well. We just want to be good partners and be able to help wherever we can with funding to help the community. And also too, we help with the closing costs. We do all the paperwork. The only thing that I may ask for is title for the particular area or lot. It just goes quicker if you can provide the title, but if we have to obtain that, we do that. We incur all costs to get this done because we want to make sure that it is cost friendly for those who participate in our program. And let me see, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I feel like it was something else I wanted to tell you guys about the program, but that's pretty much it. And like I said, I walk you through it. It's not like the bank, you know, we try to work things out with everyone and make sure that again, we're doing everything we can for you to be successful in the program. And so that completes my presentation.
Well, thank you, Alex and Kenya. That was awesome information. We have a few questions in the chat, and I think Alex responded to one question, but there's still one that I wanted to read just in case. If the flyer in the Haitian, I think the Haitian Creole, please send it to me. So how would they get that information in Haitian Creole language?
So what I can do in the chat, I'm going to put my email address, and if anybody wants to email me about any of the programs, you can, and I can get information to you.
Okay. And the next question was, how do people apply for the Warm Heart Home program?
So all you have to do is just call customer service and let them know that you want to find out if you're eligible for the program.
Okay.
And that's the number that Alex did put into the chat.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry, I see it now.
And I'm sorry, let me put my telephone number too, if you guys want to reach me.
And then Terry, I think there was a question around qualifications for the loan.
I don't. What are the qualifications for the loan?
Yeah, I think that was the last program.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
what I was like, I felt like I was missing something. So yes, so there is, when you go onto the application, you'll see different questions that we ask. One of the things is that you do have to have collateral, right? So now we're not in the real estate business, so we don't want to take your property. That's not what we want. But one of the qualifications is let's say if you want to do affordable homes, we need to be the first and typically the only lien holder on the property. We have worked it out sometimes if it's more than one lien holder, but we generally like to be that lien holder on the property. So should you not be able to pay it back, the loan back, then we could hold the property as collateral. But trust and believe, That's not what we want to do. We're not in the real estate business, but some of the things on the application that we asked for is, we want to know if you have other grants, from the Urban League, maybe vacant to vibrant. We like to see that you have other resource streams. We asked for renderings of the property but first and foremost, you have to be ready to go, to readily receive the funds and start building. Because we do want that loan paid off in 2 years, because we want to keep reinvesting. And so I'm going to tell you guys, so the chair of the ICON program, he wants us to be in the position where we have to ask for more funding. So I say, if you guys have projects, bring it on, let me know. But we like to make sure that it is paid off in 2 years, because we want to keep reinvesting, and we want to help as many people possible as we can. But I say check out that link. It'll tell you all the different things that we're asking for. We're going to ask for, information about what builder you're using. We're basically asking questions that will help us know that you're ready, that you're actually have the project all you're needing is the funds, and you're ready to go.
Dimitri, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, I can ask it. I was curious just to know, for the people who cannot attend the community fair this weekend or the 21st, is there a way that I can access the flyers and information about all the resources that are going to be available to get information to my participants?
So we have a website. Man, I need to access it. Can I send it to you guys after this, Sharon? Because we have a website. It's not easily accessible, but we have a website, and we have put the partners who have given us their logo in a vector format. We have put it on our website, so you could click on each partner and get the information that they provide.
That is perfect. Please send that information. Thank you.
Yes, I'll send that after this meeting.
Perfect. Yeah, Kenya, anything you or Alex have that you think people might want, Terry will send out an email to everyone who registered, whether they attended or didn't. All registrants will get that email with more information. And then I think, since I'm off mute, Terry, I'll just go ahead. I do think there's another question around, Mona's asking, with underground digging, what is done to prevent sinkholes?
Yeah, that's a good question, and definitely a topical one, as sinkholes seem to be in the news quite a bit recently. So I would say the very first step is that we try to minimize the digging. So those pictures I showed you of where they're pulling out the service lines, these are all methods that are used so that we don't have to dig. So that's the first step. If we can't pull out the line, then what we would go to is called directional boring, which is where once again they would drill underground diagonally, underground horizontally to your home. So that's another method that does not require an open trench. So outside of doing everything we can to prevent digging holes, obviously we do have a hole somewhere that is required, and for those we have to follow all the best engineering practices to try to minimize the sinkholes, and really just making sure that our customers who are participating in the program know that if they experience a sinkhole or have any issues, we'll be there. We'll be there to help fix that for them, but they need to let us know so that we can get that looked at again and get it fixed properly.
Thank you, Alex. There was one more question. Do you have to own the land? Is there a way to qualify for funding on a pre-existing building?
So yes, you do need to own the land unless you're partnering with somebody else who owns it and they have a 501c3. And then what was your second question, Terry? I'm sorry.
There was. Is there a way to qualify for funding on a pre-existing building?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And I just put the website link in the chat for everybody.
Okay, great. Thank you. I see another question. It doesn't have a question mark. How are you disposing gravel from the tunnels?
Great question. Again, and that's another one that you would think would be an easy question, but it has turned into quite the permitting and regulation quagmire. The long story short is the gravel is reused, but we're not allowed to reuse it because we generate so much that we would be considered a quarry, which we're a utility, so we can't do that. So we basically donate it to a third party, and they reuse it for different purposes.
Thank you. Any
I
more
do have
questions?
one more question. I'm sorry.
Sure.
It's for Alex. I missed the name of the first project you guys were talking about the sewer expansion.
Oh,
Can I
yes,
get the name of that so I can grab the information from online?
absolutely, yeah. So that's our DigIndy project, the DigIndy tunnel, but it's typically just called the DigIndy project.
Thank you for that.
All right. And feel free to ask a question freely, or you can still put it in chat. It doesn't matter, either one.
While folks are thinking of any last questions before we wrap up, I did want to tell you Saturday is looking like a high of 61 and no rain. So the community fair is looking like it's going to be a great day.
And just so you guys know, we do have a heated tent, so we came prepared.
Oh, wow. Heated tent and hot dogs. That's a pretty good deal. All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I definitely want to thank Alex and Kenya for some great information. The whole tunnel thing and the digging, that was really interesting. I had not seen that before, so that was very, very interesting information. That's work going on there with the digging program, and definitely Kenya, the resources that you shared, the community always takes advantage of those, but I know you're saying that we could do more, that you guys could definitely help more people. So that's great too. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all Saturday, and I hope everyone else will come out and participate on Saturday and support citizens. So if there aren't any other questions, again, we thank you so much for coming out and joining this presentation. And again, thank you to our speakers. And Sharon, our next one will be in January.
Yeah, so this is the last one for this calendar year for the holiday season. And so, yep, we'll pick it back up in January. If you haven't followed us on social media, INRC's Facebook page or Instagram is a good way to keep on the list, as well as we have an email blast. So, yep, and just keep an eye on upcoming news.
Okay. And the ones I know that are scheduled for January and February are just as good as this one. The information is, so definitely keep your ears and eyes open for those two sessions in 2024. All right, well, we will close it out. And again, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to sharing this time with you again next year. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to present. Thank you. Have a good
You're
evening.
welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.